Hey, what's happening, Marvelites? Welcome back to Marvel Strike Force here on the KwingsLetsPlays channel. Before we get to the Heroes campaign today, Chapter 4, make sure you guys smash that like button, share this video with friends, and also hit that bell to be notified when a new Marvelous video arrives at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day.
Yay!
It's time for Chapter 4. This entire dimension has been conquered by Ultimus. So, why are we here exactly? This place is to acquire intel about your enemy is behind enemy lines. Also, a great place to get killed, you know? Yeah, Frank Castle and Spider-Man are not the best to have a conversation with.
Yep.
And we still don't have any new heroes that we can add, so this is our team.
Yeah, I bet they hang out after work all the time.
You think so?
No.
See how weak the medic is? She only has like 841. That's not good.
Actually, Frank Castle is the only person that looks like they wouldn't really hang out with people. Except for Daredevil. I think he would just go home.
Frank is an ex-military guy, so that's kind of why he gets along with S.H.I.E.L.D. Not really, though. Make sure we're not detected by any Ravager patrols. Those guys.
What's up with this weird costume, though?
It's a Punisher. Like those guys? Those are Ravagers.
Wasn't he played by some famous person in a movie?
Punisher? He's been played by several people in movies. All of them have been terrible. Although the one in the 80s was hilarious.
Was he played by Sylvester Stallone?
No.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
He was played by, I don't even know if you know who this guy is. Quick! We have to take them out before they call for backup!
Ooh, I like your Captain America voice!
Thank you. Captain America? This isn't, some sort of trick, is it? There's two of you!
Dun dun dun!
I don't think I could stand having another one of my heroes go evil on me.
Yeah, they're twins.
Twinsies. I am not controlled by Ultimus, Spider-Man. Now, let's get to work, team! For America!
Yay, for America!
I have two Captain Americas. This is not fair.
USA. US. Okay.
So the Ravagers are bad guys from Yondu's people.
Oh, the Ravagers.
That's right.
Yeah. Actually, Sylvester Stallone was a Ravager.
Yes, he was. But no, he did not play the Punisher.
Oh,
A guy named Dolph Lundgren,
Okay.
who was famous for playing the first live-action He-Man, which, yeah, you remember that movie, it was terrible. We have it on DVD. I've only seen it twice in my life because I don't want to watch it again, it's terrible.
Wow.
But he played He-Man, and he played Punisher in the 80s as well, and it was mostly terrible.
Yeah.
Most of the Marvel movies in the 80s and 90s were horrible. Like, some of the worst movies ever made.
What
So
about
they've come
the
a long way.
Hulk?
The Hulk?
Hulk.
The Hulk was a TV show.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It was a great TV show.
Yeah, that guy was supposed to be... I thought that guy...
Lou Ferrigno?
People liked him a lot as the Hulk.
Yeah.
But he actually played the skinny and big Hulk. Or something.
Lou Ferrigno? No.
Wait, no, he only played the...
Bill Baxby played the, at least I think that's his name. Yeah, Bill played Bruce Banner.
Oh,
And,
Lou played the big Hulk.
Lou played the Hulk.
Alright, never mind. I don't know what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
I know. It's okay. Okay, so
Trying to be cool, but
Yondu is here, and so is Star-Lord, so they have
Okay.
to go.
Yep, they have to be taken down. Take down that little fin thing.
Team America! Oh,
Yay!
so my
Stars and
taunt,
stripes.
makes the enemies come right at me, and it also increases Captain America's overall defense. Whereas Luke Cage's taunt is just a taunt, I believe. I never get this move. I don't know what energy does.
I don't know.
It might have to do with, like, how quickly he can attack again or something? I don't know. I fought very few players that use Star-Lord.
Yeah, I don't understand the energy move.
I don't think he's a very good character. Out of the Guardians of the Galaxy, if you can get characters from that, you want to shoot for Groot and Gamora. Drax is terrible. Star-Lord is eh. Yondu is really good, but he's not really part of the Guardians. Although, in the comics, he was.
Yeah, you would think that,
How are you still fighting Ultimus in this dimension, Cap? Oh, our Bruce Banner developed a vaccine for Ultimus' conversion engine just before the entire dimension fell to Ultimus. Let me guess. There was just one dose. Yep. He insisted I take it. That's not something Cap would say. He'd be like, affirmative.
Yeah.
Any chance we can recreate the formula, Cap?
Affirmative.
Maybe, but it would require infiltrating a high-security Kree laboratory. I was so hoping you weren't gonna say that.
How did Spider-Man read his mind?
Spider-Man is just... I don't know what Spider-Man this is supposed to be. The Tom Holland version, the comic books.
Yeah, it's like just generic Spider-Man. Like, he's a morph between all of them.
Well, he's acting like a kid. Like, his dialogue is very youthful.
So he's Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Probably high school.
He's teenager Spider-Man.
I noticed that his costume's similar. This Kree laboratory has the tech we need to reverse engineer a vaccine from my blood. All we have to do is fight our way through an army of enhanced Ultimus-controlled heroes. No problem. Hook me up to the lab, extract the vaccine, and fight our way out. Are you ready, soldier?
This sounds dangerous.
Well, when you put it like that, no.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna make a vaccine from his blood like in that Chuck episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good example of that.
Totally.
Totes. That's a great example of that, actually.
Thank you.
You are the welcome. The lab is just a little further. We'll have to take down these guards first. Brace yourselves, everyone, and my twin.
I like your Captain America voice.
You know, probably not supposed to have two Captain Americas at the point in the game. He would join up the player and you would fight with him for the campaign, but since we already have Cap, which is a rare character, I'm sure that they're going to bring him back and Iron Man will go on sale or something during the time of Marvel Infinity War. I guarantee it.
So you're playing with one...
I don't know which version of my Captain America is.
So the other one is the AI, and then you're playing as one.
Yeah, the one in the back is the AI, I'm pretty sure. Alright, let's go with some SmackDown.
Or you're doing Shadow Clone Jitsu.
Kind of. My Daredevil is incredibly weak, though, so I don't think I'm going to have him stick around too long.
He's cool looking, though.
He is cool looking. But my Spider-Man does more damage than my other guy.
Feels like Daredevil, since the movie from a long time ago, because of the show is probably doing way better than that movie. It feels like Daredevil's getting more popular because I didn't really see him at all, ever. Like, for years, and then so he's suddenly showing up in the Lego Marvel stuff, and then in this game, and like a lot of different things. Daredevil.
Marvel's had a really good past 10 years. Like it was a good decade for Marvel because before nobody knew who they were.
Yeah,
and they'd been around since the 60s.
They've been killing it with the movies and the theaters. Like, it's crazy. Like, if everyone else modeled their movies after them, everyone else would succeed too, but somehow nobody can duplicate what they're doing. It's amazing.
Well, if people try to duplicate what it is, it's overall it would hurt Marvel too. Eventually Marvel's going to run out of steam though.
Yeah.
Fads only last a decade. And they're kind of running out of stories they can adapt now.
But they'll just... I mean, you can always make Spider-Man movies.
Yep, there's a lot of stuff. Spider-Man is still their flagship property, but with their Avengers stuff, they're combining a lot of stuff. The only good Marvel arcs, if you're being an honest comic book fan, Civil War was really good parts of it, and they adapted that really well. The 90s, like, War of the Gems, which they're doing right now, and turning that into a huge episodic thing, that was a great storyline. Secret Wars was terrible. Spider-Verse was kind of good. Let me get hooked up to the lab and extract the vaccine.
Are you sure that's safe, Captain America?
I'm sure it's fine. But they're running out of ideas because their last 10 years in the comic books have been very bad. They've changed character genders, they've killed characters.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't had a lot of really great story adaptations.
Like another, like, girl version of it.
I'm going in the machine now, Spider-Man. Your shield operators should be able to extract enough material to reverse engineer a vaccine.
Be careful, Cap.
What are the chances this works, though, Cap? Oh, that's a girl.
About 4%.
Best odds I've heard in years. Let's do it, team!
That's not very good odds.
Well, I mean, he is in a war-torn world.
Oh, yeah.
There are 2 or 3 arcs left in Marvel that they can do. The Kree, like the hidden thing where Captain America's replaced by a Kree agent, and most of the world is being like the heroes are being turned into Kree. At least I think that it's either Kree or they're the other aliens. There's a whole storyline where Captain America and half of the Avengers and half of the world's heroes, they get turned into aliens because they're all kidnapped, and the aliens are trying to take over the world, and they fool everybody by pretending. Like, you watch, at the end of Age of Infinity, a famous Marvel character is going to replace a character you thought died, and they're going to be like a Kree. They'll have to. You'll have to watch over the shield operator while I'm in the tank.
Okay, Cap.
Well, we have another Captain America, so it's fine.
Oh, never mind.
But
so Captain America will... Whatever.
This is DC's problem with filmmaking. They like to create new ideas, right, for their films, and try to loosely adapt things. Marvel goes hardcore adapting their movies from the comic book source material. But like I said, they've only had about, in their 60 years...
Accessing super soldier DNA.
They've had, like, maybe 10 or 15 storylines that aren't X-Men that are really good storylines. DC has had 50, but they refuse to utilize their source material for their cinematic movies. Instead, they're killing it in the animated department, adapting famous storylines from comic books. And same with Batman the Animated Series. Batman the Animated Series was adapted from hundreds of popular stories from the 70s, 80s, and 90s of Batman comics.
Yeah.
That's why people loved it so much. The X-Men TV show, same thing. Based on all the popular X-Men storylines from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Just like the Batman the Animated Series. Well, you probably already
said that.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man show, the Spider-Man animated, and Spectacular Spider-Man, all based on the Spider-Man comics.
If you just base it on the comics without trying to stray from the source material, then people like it better.
But for, like I'm saying right now, with the next wave of Marvel films, the problem with that is they're running out of source material.
Administering sedative prior to extraction.
Like, Marvel has been struggling financially as a comic book company for, like, almost 20 years.
Yeah, but the movies did really well.
That's why they got bought by Disney, though, is because Marvel was going out of business.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying, because DC didn't get bought by Disney.
But DC is stubborn. They're never going to adapt their stories.
Yeah.
They tried. The famous storyline that they were going to do with Ben Affleck and Deathstroke was a cross between the Jason Todd incident and also, like, kind of the Batman and Son thing where Deathstroke, went against the League and Damian had to flee and Batman was introduced to his son. That's what Ben Affleck and company were adapting. They were taking things from the Arkham Asylum games and the comic books. Matt Reeves, we don't know what Matt Reeves is doing. Matt Reeves is making his own story and said it's not going to follow anything like that. So you don't know what DC's doing.
Matt Reeves a new person working for DC?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Marvel is, especially with the Ant-Man films, the Ant-Man films are based on famous Scott and, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the original Ant-Man.
Extracting vaccine tracers, just one more step.
Hank.
Ah, yeah.
The Ant-Man,
is the original
the movies that you've seen, they're based on storylines that featured either Scott or Hank and, Wasp. So they have at least one more good movie they can do for a third film.
Yeah, they did like the Batman Beyond or Zorro thing where he trains the new person.
But Guardians of the Galaxy has like 2 more storylines that were considered cult hits that they can adapt into cinemas, and then they're done. Because their source material's done. So
basically, the creativity would have to come from the people making the comic books, because that's where you get all the storylines of the comic books.
And I'm not trying to be anti-Marvel or anything, I'm just letting you people know that Marvel has been struggling for 20 years in their source material department. And even the X-Men have almost used all of the great storylines. Except Bryan Singer, he did something very different when he did that last X-Men movie, the really good one where Wolverine goes back in time. He took elements of a 90s comic book, but then he built upon it. So it was like a new storyline that was based on the original principle of going back in time and stopping the assassination of this one important senator, which they, basically made someone else. Ultimate's Thor Corps patrols this area. We have to be careful, Spider-Man. I'm very drained from that incident. Thor Corps? Like an army of Thors? Seriously? It's
I
crazy.
never know if that's corpse or core.
It could
Thor
be Corps.
Corps.
I always like to think of it as like the Green Lantern Corps
Yeah.
or the
Corps.
Marine Corps.
I'm gonna say core.
Yeah, because they write it the same way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, they have all these great movies coming out. Okay.
We'll have to defeat Thor Corps if we want to make it back to our dimension with the vaccine.
Yeah.
I mean, your dimension.
Can you talk like Captain America all the time, Luke?
Surrender now and accept thy fate, Captain America. No, I can't do Thor.
Yes, it's Thor.
Cap's still pretty weak. We'll have to protect him until he recovers.
You're such a nice guy, Spider-Man.
I don't know how to do Thor.
I'll do Thor.
Yeah, you be Thor. You do.
I'll do Thor.
You do
I'll
Thor.
be Thor.
If he speaks again, you get to be Thor.
All right, awesome.
Because I basically
That
did
makes
Captain
my
America
day.
twice. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so what you're saying is they have all these really cool hit movies, but eventually they'll run out of storylines.
By their next phase, they're going to be in trouble. They have like one good storyline for Black Panther they can do because they combined about 8 different stories to make the first Black Panther movie.
It's so cool that they can take obscure characters though and make them like hits in the movie theater.
Speaking of hits,
Because DC can't even take popular characters and make them hits in the movie theater.
not if they don't use their source material.
So it's like, it's funny that Marvel can take something like Ant-Man or especially Guardians of the Galaxy, which wasn't even supposed to be a hit at all, and make it like a tremendous hit in the theaters. And it's like,
They have brilliant writers.
yeah, they do. And like, yeah, it's true because I enjoyed watching Ant-Man. I didn't even know what that was, and it was fun to watch. So, I mean, you know what they could do though for Captain America? Well, you've already said.
I already
but
know what's going to happen.
They're going to have the
Captain
next
America.
person be Captain America. His the guy who's his friend.
No, I'm just
Falcon.
gonna say this right now. I don't remember if it was War in the Gems, but there was some major invasion that happened that the Avengers fought off like this big alien threat. Captain America and a bunch of Avengers that looked like they died, and Captain America came back almost unscathed, but it wasn't Captain America. It set up a new storyline where an alien was disguised as Captain America,
Whoa.
planning the way for the next major invasion. And he was Captain America for at least a year
It's
in Marvel Comics, and the real Captain America was somewhere else. You know?
like, it's too bad that the Green Lantern movie for DC didn't do better because they could have made a whole bunch of movies with Green Lantern people.
That's
for DC.
also the thing
failed
again. Ryan
miserably.
Reynolds and company, they only took a few stories from the comic books to make a movie, and they picked a horrible villain.
Yeah,
so-
why would you pick a Cloud as a villain?
Yeah.
It's the worst villain ever.
It was pretty
You
bad.
should have had Sinestro or somebody cool, or the little people that rule Green Lantern world, or maybe another villain on another planet
Mm-hmm.
that had a real storyline instead of just a giant cloud.
Ultimus's own version of the Defenders, the Annihilators, are tracking us down, Spider-Man. We need to get away fast. Okay, that's all he's gonna say, okay? I was gonna what?
Yeah, that's
what's
why
going on,
it's
Cap?
stupid, because Marvel and DC both have good things to work with, yet Marvel is actually doing a good job with their stuff, whereas DC is just failing in the movie theaters repeatedly. Like, I don't understand why.
Annihilators. Looks like we've tracked down our prey. Evil Daredevil.
Yep.
Oh, they have Night Nurse. Time to take that person out. Now comes the fun part. I don't know, Iron Fist. I am Iron Fist, I don't know.
Talk is cheap. Let's fast forward to the part where we track some skulls.
Crack.
I mean, crack them. She looks pretty. And
Jessica Jones.
she looks kawaii. And I like her leather jacket. It's cute.
So The Defenders is actually a show on Netflix with Daredevil and all these different characters like Jessica Jones. They have their own team-up, CW show.
Oh, cool.
But getting back to the Captain America thing, you watch, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for people, I don't know Marvel stuff. I'm just saying, based on how much they've done from their already, quote, popular storylines for Thor, the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man has, at least 20 good things, story-wise, that they could do, because he's their flagship character.
Yeah.
Captain America storylines, So, I mean, Captain America or Iron Man coming back as a an alien to set up the next big Avengers movie makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And also explains why some actors have appeared working on Avengers 4 already when, something happens to them in Infinity War.
I have a question. Was, Winter Soldier and Ragnarok, were they both from the comics?
They were totally different than what you saw in the movies. Totally
But they
different.
were based on comics, but way different.
Yeah.
Because those both movies seem like not part of, neither one seemed like it was a comic book or something.
The director of the Black Panther took about 8 comic books storylines for the Black Panther to turn into one, because Black Panther stories are not the best. They're good, but they're not award-winning, to my knowledge, right? So, basically, Chris Nolan did the same thing. Chris Nolan was a fan of Batman, but he didn't want to make a full adaptation of something we've seen before. Same thing with the director of Black Panther. He took various ideas from different comic arcs of the Black Panther and created one movie. And he'll do that again for the second movie, and then that'll probably be it. Chris Nolan, since Batman's been around for so many years, he took, The Man Who Falls, he took Batman Year One, he took No Man's Land, he took Arkham Asylum, and 6 other books, and that's how he made his 3 movies. But they were not fully based on just one book.
Yeah.
That's what the Marvel movies are doing. They're based on, especially the Avengers, taking on these big alien invasions. They're based on huge, multiple book story, crossovers.
Yeah.
That's what makes the Avengers films so compelling. Right now, they're doing the famous storyline War of the Gems, what they call the Infinity War, which is the War of Thanos and the gauntlet that he wears, the one that carries all the Infinity Stones. That was a 90s storyline, and that was one of the only popular Marvel crossover storylines in the 90s.
So, for the Marvel comic books and stuff, would you say, Luke Cage and the Punisher were more widely read than stuff like Black Panther?
Yes.
Before the movie came out? But now maybe they'll make more Black Panther comics.
Black Panther is a cultural icon now.
Yeah.
He'll, Marvel has their second win now because of all these movies, but the only problem is their comic books are not that good right now because it's hard to explain. Ultimus has begun his invasion of your dimension, Spider-Man. He's moving his fleet of ships through massive portals into our Earth. Your Earth, not mine. Mine's destroyed. Ha ha. This is your only chance, son, to get back your Earth and the vaccine. Because he would say son, because that's a 40s thing.
Yep.
Great. Any way we can buy a ticket to get to one of those battleships, Cap? We'll need to take out a Kree patrol ship and borrow their IDs to board the ship.
Yeah, I keep forgetting Captain America's 100 years older than everyone else.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Captain America in the comic books is they've changed his mannerisms of speaking, and he's supposed to be a guy who's from 100 years in the past.
Yes, I know. He just talks like a normal person.
Here's your chance. Take out this patrol so you can use their identities to get on board the battleship.
He would talk like somebody's grandpa would talk.
Right. He's supposed to represent the greatest generation, which is the 30s and the 40s. At least because they fought in World War II.
Yeah, so they should take phrases that those people would use.
But they did. Cap spoke that way until the 2000s. They revamped him with the Ultimate comic books, and then eventually Earth 616, which is the, quote, normal Marvel universe, they changed Captain America too.
The thing I didn't like, the thing that bothers me about the Marvel movies, which I understand they're trying to do it because, it's supposed to create tension or something, but I don't like how Iron Man talks to Captain America because he's, so disrespectful to him. And, Captain America is so much older than him, and without Captain America, Iron Man probably wouldn't even be there because, he was a superhero way before Iron Man. He's, not respecting him, so, it really bothers me. He's, really snotty to him, and I'm always
yeah.
That's the main thing. If they took that out, I would like Marvel movies way better.
But don't you know
why he has to be disrespectful to Captain America? He's way older.
Marvel Cinematic Iron Man is better than comic book Iron Man. Comic book Iron Man, ever since the 2000s, he became a sleazeball. He is...
He's actually not... So you're saying the comic book version of him is even worse?
Yep, he's an alcoholic. He is a womanizer.
Oh, wow.
He does some shady business
right.
dealings. He's kind of like Lex Luthor.
Whoa. All right, so I'm glad that. I'm glad for the.
Don't
Iron
you
Man
remember
I
our
got.
discussions of Marvel Civil War? He's responsible for the death of Captain America. Like he like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I remember talking about that. Yeah, because they make it like it's even in the cinematic universe, but in the comics it wasn't.
It's not a true adaptation.
It wasn't exactly that. It didn't happen the same way.
No.
Yeah.
Captain America was supposed to die like as a martyrdom for the stuff, but he'll probably get killed by Thanos.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes in the comic they show, they'll show like, okay, this person was wrong or this person was right. But then when they do in the cinematic universe, they're like, oh, everyone's right and nobody's wrong.
Never, if you really think about it, not Captain America, Iron Man never got a redemption story in Marvel. Like, they just rebooted the entire universe after, like, a massive, like, worldwide incident, and his personality was changed to more of that of the cinematic universe.
This is why I feel like, you know how they say, like, the actor that plays Iron Man and the actor that plays Captain America don't really like playing their characters anymore? Like, I don't know if it's because of that, but I feel like they're always fighting in the movies, and like that would make me.
That's not true.
That would make me feel uncomfortable. Like I wouldn't want to play that character if I had to fight.
If Captain America becomes an alien, replaced by an alien at the end of Infinity War, because originally they were going to break up the movies into 2 parts, and they said they weren't going to do that, but there's a huge twist at the end. My assumption is, based on what arc they're doing and that they follow a blueprint to the T, is that, Captain America or, another character that isn't an Avenger in these movies is going to come back as a member of the Kree. And, they'll do a thing where they'll show at the end of the... hang on. The fleet is taking off. Now or never, Spider-Man. Better get going, son. What about you, Cap? Aren't you coming with us? Sorry, the dialogue always interrupts my thought process.
It's okay.
This is my home, what's left of it. Even if it's already fallen to Ultimus, I can't leave it, or its people.
Whoa.
So go save your world, son. Stop Ultimus. I'll keep up the fight here until you return. With help.
He's so cool and heroic.
Yep, and that's the end of Captain America. So, I bet you at the end of Infinity War, they're going to do a reveal that Captain America or one of your favorite Avengers is an alien. And that's how they're going to end it, with a cliffhanger. And the actor will come back to play that role, but it won't be that person, really.
Oh, so it'll be totally different personality.
Right, like I said, Captain America was a Kree for a long time. We need to clear out this hold and hide out until the warship returns to our dimension. That's all he said.
All right, never mind. I was going to ask you something,
which would make for a really good film thing. I mean, it would get people to come back to see the next Avengers movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You just gave me an idea, though, for DC.
They've never done that.
No, they could bring in the whole Hawk Girl thing. Like, the whole planet of the Thanagarians and everything. That could be a whole storyline.
That was not a comic book adaptation.
Oh.
That was from the genius of Dwayne McDuffie
Well, they
and
should do that.
Paul Dini.
They should do the Dwayne McDuffie, Paul Dini thing with Justice League and everything. Do the entire Justice League thing, including Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl and everything. That would be awesome.
Justice League and Batman the Animated Series is a partial adaptation of the comic books, whereas X-Men and Spider-Man the Animated Series and Iron Man the Animated Series from the 90s, they were full adaptations of the comic book under the supervision of Stan Lee.
That's my favorite is Hawkgirl, and she's not even from... Or she's from the comics, but she's not the same person.
No, because they combined her with different female leads of the Justice League.
They made her heroic and kind, and they gave her, in the Dwayne McDuffie, that version of her, they made her, like, have a conscience and have to, like, think about what's the right thing to do and, like, care about other people and everything, like... She had to she had to decide something and decide to do the right thing and go against everything she knew. She was such a cool character.
Let me explain something else to you. The reason Marvel's Earth's Mightiest Heroes, like, cartoon show was such a success is because they utilized all the great, like, Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, and, like, Giant Man / Ant-Man storylines from the comics in that show. And eventually Marvel canceled it because they wanted the show to be tied more in line with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the show that they replaced it with they wanted to do a lot of like storylines based on what those characters would do in the cinematic universe. It was like a tie-in show. It did not last as long as Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and it was nowhere near as good as Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
So Earth's Mightiest Heroes, if they should have kept that going.
Yeah.
That was
So I mean,
better.
Marvel fans were upset that Spectacular Spider-Man and Earth's Mightiest Heroes were canceled because they were superior animated shows.
Yeah, why do they have to have all the incarnations of the characters agree?
Because that's what Disney did after they bought the properties.
Oh, well, that's not fair because then it.
I know. I think I hear something coming. Somebody coming. Sorry.
It's okay.
We gotta take them out. Can't risk alerting the Kree crew. Words.
Yeah, that's annoying when it has to do with like. I hated how like just copyright and all the legal stuff gets in the way of people's creativity.
Stowaways, how dare you sully the sacred fleet of Ultimus with your unworthy presence?
I don't like that guy.
Ronan. He's gone,
Ronan
though.
the Accuser. Ugh.
He bit the
didn't
dust in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right?
He was my least favorite character in that.
He was an important pawn of Thanos.
The only other guy I didn't like, who was, well, my second least favorite guy was the guy with the fin on his head. I can't remember his
Yondu?
Yondu. I did not like him at all. And then at the last movie, they made Yondu better. And like, okay.
They made him more like his comic book counterpart. Like, you have to remember, Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books of the 70s and 80s, he was kind of like the lead hero. He was like one of the leaders of the team. He was a very heroic character.
But they made him not heroic in the
No, they made him
first
basically like a kind of like a Han Solo character,
Yes.
except like more.
But then you find out that he actually was doing good stuff the whole time. He was trying to protect that one.
Uh-oh.
His
Whoa!
adopted son.
Okay, that's a good character.
So in the
Did you see that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
He attacks everybody on screen.
So I'm sorry for asking so many questions, but in the comics.
I'm not a Marvel expert.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you knew if Star-Lord was really adopted by Yondu.
Nope, don't know.
Oh, okay. We don't know.
I don't know because I only read in the 90s. The only Marvel comics I read still was X-Men, Avengers, and Spider-Man. Those were the only comics I read.
I didn't have any. I didn't have any comics, but my brothers had a few Captain America comics.
And the comics that I read the most in the 90s was Robin, Nightwing, Batman, Detective Comics, Justice League, The Flash, because Wally West was amazing, and the Outsiders and Titans books,
Yeah,
and Young Justice.
You used to love Spider-Man.
If I'm being completely honest, I read way more DC than I did Marvel, but my comic book store, the only comic books that they had was X-Men with Jim Lee stuff. They had the Avengers, which the Avengers books were really weird. At one point, Scarlet Witch was involved with Captain America and the Vision, which or Black Widow and Captain America. I don't know. You know, and the Iron Man books. I mean, he would occasionally pop up in the Avengers books, but he wasn't really an Avenger in the 90s anymore. He had his own team. Like War Machine was a member of the Avengers or something.
I think the appeal of Black Widow and Captain America is like because they're so opposite. Like she's a trained killer who's heartless and she doesn't care about anyone basically. And Captain America, all he does is care about people. He's warm and fuzzy.
Okay. Aside from the massive Marvel crossover books that required me to get a lot of books, in the 90s and 80s, a lot of the Avengers, Thor, Iron Man books were really boring. Like, I would not continue issue to issue because it was like I read it for a little bit. It wasn't exciting. I mean, DC had so many exciting things going on. You know, the death of Jason Todd, the new Robin, death of Superman, Nightfall with Batman, Nightwing and Bloodhaven, Wally West as the Flash, you know, The Outsiders, Young Justice.
Yeah.
It went on and
So
on
it's
for
like-
15 years.
It feels like Marvel has a lot of characters, a lot of different colorful characters, but DC goes in depth in just a few characters. Like, does some really awesome storylines for just a few characters.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. I mean, I considered myself a Marvel fan when I was a kid because I would not miss an episode of Spider-Man or X-Men on TV, ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's why Spider-Man is... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great, we made it back to our dimension. Now what? Now we fight our way off this tin can and get the vaccine of Fury. Actually, that sounds like a pretty good plan there, Frank. I have my moments.
How about a hug?
How about a hug? Yeah, Frank would really give people a hug.
I think that's why people like Spider-Man so much, because there's so many stories for Spider-Man, because he's been around so long.
Well, a lot of people grew to hate Spider-Man after One More Day. I'm not the only Marvel fan that stopped. Sweet target practice. Been a while since we blasted us some rebels.
I didn't like.
I am Groot. Groot says you're not gonna get off the ship alive, okay? This is the dreaded final level of Chapter 4, and I should have listened to the Reddit people because we're not even damaging these guys at all.
Oops.
Well, and we need to take down Groot because he's the healer. Without Groot, we might have a chance. Oh my gosh.
I think we're gonna have problems here.
I think we're gonna lose.
No, I didn't like.
Oh!
I don't like One More Day either.
Well, a lot of people, we're not the only comic book fans that hate the fact that Spider-Man isn't married to his wife anymore. And Marvel's reasoning back then is marriage is not something that's done in the modern age anymore. Like, I mean, he ticked off a lot of comic book fans.
Yeah.
But DC's also done stuff to alienate people, not as much as Marvel has in the past, but Marvel's all new now.
I have a question. Aren't a lot of the comic book writers married?
No.
Oh. Oh, maybe that's why they did it then.
They couldn't relate to it, or so. The guy who did that, he's not even at Marvel anymore, I don't believe.
Oh, okay, so he just ruined it for all of time.
Because, I mean, they brought in a new love interest for Spider-Man, Cindy Moon. Which was that girl who had the same powers as Spider-Man or something. We talked about her in our Spider-Man Unlimited series.
So he's like, so if I can't get married, then neither will Spider-Man!
It was a very controversial move that they thought was going to sell comic books, and when it didn't, they did another controversial move by killing Spider-Man and having Doc Ock become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That actually made more people read than that stunt with Mary Jane, and they also, to get back the Mary Jane fans, they had her fall back in love with Spider-Man, who wasn't Spider-Man, it was Dr. Octavius.
Oh,
So, I mean...
I'm not a fan of that at all. It's not Peter Parker.
No.
She didn't love Spider-Man, she loved Peter Parker.
The current Spider-Man is a millionaire with his own company like Tony Stark. He's not married, and he's currently wearing the black suit again or something. I don't know.
Weird.
Okay, you know what? We're getting our butts kicked by the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I think we're gonna take them all out, Luke.
With just Captain America? No way.
He can take... Ah!
You were saying? All right, we have to level up.
Oh, we have to go back and level up.
Oh my, well, it's gonna take forever because the Reddit people told me I have to be a level 27. You have to. Like, this is where they were talking about beware of paywalls. Because, I mean, whatever. So anyway, guys and gals, that was a rousing discussion for us. Join us next time as, I guess we're gonna have to play as the bad guys again because we've hit a wall with the heroes.
Yep.
So we'll be doing Chapter 3 of the villains. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Until we meet again, God bless and happy gaming.
See ya!